Hello viewers, I say welcome back to my channel Build and Sew with MD. Today's video is going to be a unique one because I'm going to use multi-language. I'm going to use Yoruba, Nigeria, Pidgin and English along the line. So I pray for your indulgence to be patient with me and bear with me for this video because it's a requested video. So tailoring it to the need of some of my subscribers. So in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to cut a 6 pieces skirt, just like ABC. Let's go there. So àwọn olólùfẹ́ mi, gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ pé mo máa lo oríṣiríṣi èdè láti fi ṣàlàyé bó ṣe ń gé skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà. Skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà dàbí òbí aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà téèyàn máa pa awẹ́ òbí tó máa yọ lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan sílẹ̀. Bí a ṣe ń gé skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà nìyẹn. So tá bá fẹ́ gé skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà, nǹkan tá máa kọ́kọ́ ní lọ́kàn ni pé gbogbo ara wa, kò sí bí ara wa tó jẹ́ igun, gbogbo ibi ara wa òun ló curve, báyìí. Kò sí bí ara wa tó ṣe gbọọrọ àbí tó yọgun síta. So nǹkan tá máa kọ́kọ́ ní lọ́kàn tá bá fẹ́ gé skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà nìyẹn. Èkejì tá tún máa ní lọ́kàn ni pé gbogbo wa, bí ara wa ṣe rí, ara wa ò rí bákan náà. Ìwọ̀n tá máa fi wọ̀n fún èèyàn kan, bí èèyàn yẹn bá tiẹ̀ rí bí ẹgbẹ́ bá ṣe tóbi tó, ìwọ̀n yẹn lè má ṣiṣẹ́ fún wa torí ẹsẹ̀ wa ó gùn jura wa lọ, ibi itan wa ó gùn jura wa lọ, ibi orókùn wa sí ègìgì ẹsẹ̀ wa ó gùn jura wa lọ. So kókó tó wà níbẹ̀ ni pé kéèyàn ṣe ìwọ̀n èèyàn téèyàn bá fẹ́ ránṣọ fún, ìwọ̀n tó péye. Ó máa ràn yàn lọ́wọ́ láti gé skẹ́ẹ̀tì aláwẹ́ mẹ́fà bó ṣe tọ́ àti bó ṣe yẹ. So what I'm saying is that we have people of different shapes and different figure. You cannot use figure A to cut 6 pieces for figure B because our figure differs in terms of our ankle. Some people have a long from ankle to our toes. Some people have a very long distance, while some people have a shorter one. And from our hip to our ankle too, some people have a longer frame while others have a shorter frame. So what I'm saying in essence for cutting 6 pieces is that accurate measurement is the key. And what are those measurements that you need to cut 6 pieces skirt? The first measurement you need is your bust to bust measurement, or they call it bust pan, whatever you know it to be. And what is that measurement? You measure from one nipple to another. That is the measurement, the first measurement we need. So let's assume this is our fabric on fold. This is just a cardboard paper on fold, or this is not on fold. So now let's assume the bust to bust measurement of this person we want to cut these 6 pieces is 3 inches. All these are assumption. This is the waistline, this is the hip line, and this is the knee length. So whatever your knee length, you measure where that nail is, that joint on our nails. From there just measure 2 inches upward, or it may be 3 inches. Depends on where you want your nail length to be. It's not compulsory that your nail length must be at your nail. You can decide that your nail length want to be from your a little bit below your hip line. That's fine. So depends on where your hip length, nail length you want it to be. So now, so as I was saying there, viewers, so let's assume this is the waist side, and this is the hip line, and this is the knee length. I just want to show you the connection. So mo kàn fẹ́ fi hàn wá bí a máa ṣe gbé ọwọ́ láti bí waist síbi ìbàdí síbi orókún, àti bá ṣe máa ṣe kó má yọgun, kó curve. So láti ibi waist a máa connect ẹ̀ mọ́ bí ìdí ìbàdí. Láti ibi ìbàdí a máa gbé wá sí ibi orókún. You connect from your waistline to your hip line, from your hip line to your knee length. And here you discover that it's not rhymed very well, so you try and rhyme this curve. Just as I've said, there's no part of our body that is a sharp corner. So from here, this is the length, and anything you have on your hip, you minus half inches from your hip and put it on your knee length. So for example, here on my hip I have 3.5. On my knee I'm going to put 3 inches. So from that 3 inches I'm going to measure how I want my flare to be, how wide I want it to be. Since this is just a sample, I'm not going to make it that wide. So let me bring it closer so that you see what I'm doing. So I'm going to connect from my knee length to the length of my skirt. So láti bí orókún, ibi tá ti fẹ́ kí skirt yẹn wọnú dé ibi tí skirt yẹn gùn tó, a máa fàlà, ó máa jára wọn. So ibi a máa try àti rhyme kó curve, kó má yọgun. So olele. So this is it. This is the center front, and the center front and the center back will be the same thing. So now I'm going to cut it out. Mo máa gé eléyìí jáde, eléyìí tó wà ní iwájú àárín abala skirt aláwẹ̀ mẹ́fà. So I've cut it out. This is how it's looking. So now we want to cut the remaining pieces. How are we going to do it? So now you discover that you have lesser material left here than here, because the flare you cut here is different from your waistline here. So you are going to turn this the length of your skirt here and put your waist here. So not to be confused, first turn it like this. So you are going to turn it this way first. So now to place it here, you are going to just let it slip on it and align it properly. So you may choose to pin it down. You may choose to pin it. You may choose to pin it down. So guys, I have pinned it down. So after I have pinned it down, I'm going to trim out the shape so that the other pieces of my skirt will have the same shape as the center front and center back. So I'm going to trim out the shape. Trim out the shape. Try to round my hand. So I've done it. So the shape now is now rhyming, and I'll relocate my hip line and my knee length line accordingly, because it was here before, but I turn my hip from here to here and my waist from here to here. So that is why it's like this. So from this measurement, from this angle now, we are now going to take our measurement just as if we are cutting a normal pencil or flared skirt. That is how we are going to cut it now. That is how we are going to measure it, I mean to say. So now this is my waist. So to get the total waist of your skirt, so you are going to measure the center front, the waist. You have 3 inches here. That 3 inches, you are going to put that 3 inches behind. So this way. I hope you are seeing it. So you are going to put that 3 inches behind here, because the 3 inches is already here. Then you are going to measure your waist. So let's assume that the waist we are going to measure is 8. This is just assumption. So let's assume our waist is 8 and our... So guys, I've cut it, I've trimmed it out this way, and I've pinned it down. So now you are going to take your measurement. So our bust to bust, that is what we use for waist to cut the center front, is 3 inches. We are going to leave that 3 inches back like this way. We are going to put that 3 inches here. This is the 3 inches. We are going to leave it at the back. Then this, our waist, let's assume is 8 inches. Then our hip, what we measure is 3.5. So we are going to leave that 3.5 at the back and measure our hip, not forgetting that your waist and your hip will never be the same thing. So our waist here is 8. So our hip should be like, let's say 9.5 or 10, depends on individual. Let's say 10. Then our knee length is 3, just as we have on our waist. So we are going to leave that 3 at the back and measure 8 inches. Then from these 8 inches, we are going to connect it to the edge of our fabric. That is the edge of our fabric. So let's connect all the points. So from our waist to hip, we connect it like so. Then from our hip to our knee length, we connect like so. From our knee length to the length of our skirt, like so. If you notice, you can see that we are having sharp edges. So we are going to rhyme that sharp edges like so. We are going to rhyme it. We are going to rhyme all the sharp edges like so. So there's something I want to point out why I use this paper illustration, so that you can see it clearly. The depth we have here on this knee length, on the first side, this is our corner piece, 4 corner piece. This is 4 corner piece. Then this is the center. So I want to point it out is that the curve, the rate at which this place is deep inside is different from the way at which this rate it is, because at our front we don't have any curve that is going inside. So here we want to be careful not to from our hip to our knee length, we want to be careful not to slant it too much, that it will go inside too much. any slanting we want to make, any shaping we want to make it on the four corner piece. That is the piece that will be here and here and here and here. That is our four corner piece. So it is that place we want to bring out our shape. So I'm going to cut it out now for you to see. And while I'm cutting, I will try to line my hand so that there will not be any sharp edge. So this is my skirt. You can see the way it's looking. So this center front, center back is not on fold. I didn't make it on fold. I will open it for you to see. But I have some pieces here that I cut some pieces of paper. You can see this is the piece. I didn't make it on fold. This is how the piece of the center front will look like, and the corner piece. You can see the curve we have on here is not as deep as the curve we have on our four corner piece. So I want you to take note of all those points. So this will help you to know how to manipulate your own 6 pieces if you want to cut one. So look at the corner piece. Look at the way it's looking. Let me take off this pin so that you'll be able to see the beauty of what I'm trying to say by explaining all this. You can see the way this place, you can see the curve we have here is not as deep as the curve that we have here. You can see the difference. So this is the side, this is the four side, the hip side plus the four side, and this is the one that will join with the center front. You can see the curve is not as deep as the side piece. So now that I've explained all this stuff, let's go into the cutting of our fabric proper. So guys, to know the quantity of the fabric you need for the 6 pieces skirt is you use the largest part of your body measurement, and that is the hip. So you decide to times it by 2.5 or 2 or 1.5. Depends on how full you want your skirt to be or what effect you want your skirt to create for you. So I measure the desired inches I want to use. I use 104 inches. I folded it into 2. Then after that, I folded it into 4. Such a way that I will leave zipper allowance on the open edge of the fabric, like so. This is the folded edge and this is the open edge. So I will fold the second fold in such a way that I will leave zipper allowance like this. I will not fold it equal, so I will leave zipper allowance. So this will be my center front, and this open edge will be my center back, where my zipper is going to be. So with all the explanation, this is the fabric I want to use for the 6 pieces. So just as I've said, you have analyzed your client, you have know where the waistline is starting. Some put their skirt above their navel, some put it below, some put it on their navel. So make sure you measure accordingly. That is how you will determine where the hip is, where the knee length is. That is when your skirt will give you the effect you desire. So nǹkan tí mo ń sọ ni pé gbogbo àlàyé tí mo ti ṣe nípa bí a ṣe lè dé 6 pieces skirt. So àǹkárá yìí ni mo fẹ́ lò. So bí mo ṣe ṣàlàyé, ẹni skirt yìí mo fẹ́ fi band 1.5 inches kún. So 1.5 inches band tí mo fẹ́ fi sí yẹn, màá fi inches band tí mo fẹ́ lò, mi ní fi kún ìwọ̀n tí mo fẹ́ wọ̀n. So mo fi 1.5 inches yẹn sókè. So I left 1.5 inches for band. So this is her hip. This is where her hip is going to be, 8.5, and this is where her knee length is going to be. So I'm going to connect all the line accordingly. I'm going to connect all the line like so. I'm going to connect all the line. So now on the waistline, so for her bust to bust, just as I've said, her bust to bust is 8 inches plus 1 inches. That is 9 inches. 9 inches divided by 2, that is 4.5. I'm going to use that 4.5, and I'm going to start the measurement on the folded edge this way. So I'm going to put 4.5 here, 4.5. Then on her hip line, this is 4.5. I'm just going to put 5 inches on her hip. Then on her knee length, I'm going to put whatever I have here because it's just 5 inches difference. So I'm going to put 4.5 here. And the length of my skirt, I'm going to measure. So the hip that I use for her is 5 inches. So I'm going to times that 5 inches by 2. That is 10. So I'm going to measure 10 from the folded edge. I'm going to measure 10 from the folded edge. Then stop here. So I'm going to connect my line. I'm going to fold this way and pin it down this way. I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. So I'm going to repeat again. So this is the fabric that I want to use, and this is her waistline, this is her hip line, this is her knee length, and this is the length of the skirt. So for her waistline, I'm going to put her bust to bust measurement there, add half inch sewing allowance. So her bust to bust is 8, add 1 inch is 9 divided by 2, that is 4.5. I put it here. So on her hip, I'm just going to add 1 inches to 4.5, making 5 inches. Then what I have on her waist, I put it on her knee length. So that is how you get this shape for center front and center back. So I'm going to connect accordingly. Going to connect accordingly. So I'm going to connect to the hem of the dress like so. Like so. I'm going to try and line all the edge so that there will not be sharp edge anywhere. So I'm going to cut it out. So guys, I've cut it out just as you remember how I cut this paper. So now, because this I've notched, this is the hip line, this is the knee length, I've notched all the points. So I'm going to notch the zipper allowance and the center front and the center back. I'm going to notch it. I'm going to give it a notch. So now I'm going to take just one piece Ankara piece and set this aside. So this is the cutting we did. This is how it was. This is how we cut it. So now we want to change this flare side to here and change the waist side to here, because here is smaller than here and we want to have more flare. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to turn this one this way like this first. I'm going to turn it this way, then after that I'll turn it this way and merge it accordingly. So guys, just as I've said, this is how I cut it. I'm going to transfer the flare here and put the waist here. So I've turned it and just invert it this way and pin it down. So I'm going to pin it. So what I have down there, I'm going to fold it the same way. I'm going to fold it the same way. And pin everything down. I'm going to pin it down. I'm going to pin this edge down too. Pin the edge down. So I want my inner piece to have the shape that the center front and the center back have, like the inner side. So that is why I'm going to trim it out with that shape accordingly. You make sure it's aligned properly before you start trimming. So I'm going to trim it out this way. So guys, just like transfer the waistline from here to here and the hip line from here to here. When we are doing this paper illustration, that is what I did here. So I transfer the waistline from here to here, the hip line from here to here, and the knee line from here to here. So I've rolled it. So now I'm going to take the measurement for the client. So I'm going to take her hip measurement, her waist measurement. Remember I said that we are going to measure what we have on our bust to bust. We have 4.5. So we are going to put that 4.5. So guys, as I was saying, so this is the center front. So the measurement is here. You can flip it open, but I don't like that method. If you like that method, as we have pinned it here, you can flip it open and just take your full measurement, but I prefer this. So I'm going to leave 4.5 inches down on my waist. I'm going to make my waist to be 11 this way. Then my hip, I'm going to measure what I have on my, I have 5 inches on my hip, so I'm going to leave the 5 inches out. I'll measure 13.5 for my hip. Then for my lip, for my knee length, I'm going to measure what I have, 4.5. I'm going to leave the 4.5 outside. So I have 13.5 here, I'm going to measure 10.5. I'm going to measure 12. Yeah. Then from this 12, I'm going to connect to the edge. I'm going to see what I have here. I'm going to connect it to the edge here. So I'm going to use ruler, my ruler. This is the knee length. I'm going to use my ruler and connect. So gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń ṣe ó jẹ́ gbogbo nǹkan tá a ti ṣe sínú paper. So I'm going to line this place. So from my knee length to my hip this way, then from hip to my waist this way. So I'm going to cut it out and notch all the points. So you can see how it's looking. So if there's any sharp corner, you make sure you blend it, you line it, you blend it. You can see the way I blend it. So I'm going to cut it out. So guys, I've done cutting my 6 pieces skirt. So I'm going to notch all the points, all my reference points, my hip. Going to notch it. I'll mark all my fabric to know the wrong side and the right side. So this is how I'm going to take this pin out. I'm going to take all the pins out. So this is the center piece. Center piece of my 6 pieces. So I'm going to mark all the corner piece. Going to mark all the corner piece. Going to mark all the corner piece. Right side and the wrong side, so that I'll be able to know which one is the wrong side and which one is the right side. Okay. This is the wrong side. This is the right side. This is the wrong side. And this is the wrong side. So, and again, I'm going to mark where is the side. This is where it's going to join to the inner piece. Inner piece. I have 4 pieces. So we're going to join to the inner piece. So this is where it's going to join to side corner piece. This is my full corner piece. So you can create your mark accordingly, so that I will not make mistake in turning where it's supposed to be inner piece to side piece. So this is all my piece. This is the center. So this is the inner piece one. This inner piece two. You can see how full it's looking already. You can see how full and down it's looking. You can see it. So this is my front piece. The back piece also have the same thing. So guys, thank you for watching. The next thing now is the sole.